I've said it on a number of occasions on the YouTube channel that Dead Space and the Dead Space franchise is one of my favorite horror games of all time. And guys, I've got to say, I've been talking on the YouTube channel now for a while to try and kind of create some movement, some excitement around the possibility of a Dead Space 4. And obviously, there's been a lot of you that have chimed in and said that you would love a Dead Space 4 as well. And I think that even though Visceral Games got shut down by EA, the creators, of course, of the Dead Space universe, I think that there's still hope out there that this series could make a resurrection in one capacity or another, say with the next generation of consoles. So in this first segment of the show, I want to talk about Dead Space 4 and everything that we want in Dead Space 4. And when I say we, guys, I'm mainly talking about myself here, but I know some of you are going to share the similar opinions as myself. And those of you who don't, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So Dead Space 4, guys, I've been talking about this for quite some time, and I've got to say that one of the big things for me with this game, the possibility of this game, is just a continuation of Isaac Clarke and his his story arc and his continuation here. I even wouldn't mind necessarily him kind of being in the next game, but he's kind of almost a side character, and there's like a new character that kind of takes the helm, because we had 3 games, right? Almost like a trilogy of games with Isaac Clarke, and maybe it's time now that someone else takes the helm, and Isaac Clarke kind of is a side character, right, for Dead Space 4. But that's kind of a possibility. But I think, guys, that really, all in all, I just want to see a continuation of this game. That's the first thing that I really want. I want a continuation, of course, of the campaign as well, of the story, of the lore. And I'm not sure exactly where, my mind would go as far as where we want this to be set in, that being Dead Space 4. But what I will tell you is this: it needs to go back to the original couple of games. I thought Dead Space 1 was incredible. Dead Space 2 even elaborated and did things even better than the first Dead Space. And then the third Dead Space was kind of a step in the wrong direction, in my opinion. I know a lot of other people in the community also believe that. Felt like they went from an action RP, more of like a horror game, to an action game. And so that was something that really, I think, kind of hurt the franchise in a way, because it's based around horror. It's supposed to be a horror game, right? So I think the first big thing that I want is for obviously some new settings, but I also think that it's really important that you go back to what made Dead Space so great. Make it more so about that intense horror elements, gritty horror, instead of the action. The action will come in Dead Space 4, but keep it based and grounded around the horror elements that made the franchise so great in the first place. The next thing, guys, is going to be, for me, is customization. I think that this is a game primed for continued customization. It's really cool that throughout the course of the story, you can kind of upgrade your armor, Isaac Clarke's armor, that is, as you're going through the story, and your character becomes, tougher and tougher as you go. I think that's awesome, but I would love to see an elaboration on that. That leads me to the next thing, which is co-op and multiplayer. I think this is a game primed for multiplayer experiences, guys. I think of even games like Gears of War that could be similar to something like Dead Space 4. I think of, the Horde mode in Gears of War, and how that could translate even over to Dead Space 4, and like going up against waves of necromorphs and other, creatures and such. And you could do that by yourself or with other friends on a multiplayer, in a multiplayer experience and environment would be absolutely incredible. Having multiple ways to customize your characters, I just think it's primed for that, and I feel like Dead Space was a little bit behind other games, because when Dead Space 3 came out, they finally introduced co-op, but no multiplayer, and I almost felt like a little bit too late at that point. So I would love to see more customization. I would love to see, earnable items and such within multiplayer. I think there needs to be more emphasis on the multiplayer experience, because that's going to bring you back to the franchise at the end of the day, similar to that of the co-op experience. You're going to play that the story or even co-op missions, which is another thing that I would love to see in Dead Space 4, where just you and your friends could get on and go at it and go on some co-op missions together throughout the course of, some Dead Space 4 side missions. And I think that would be really cool as well. Another thing I would really like to see in Dead Space 4 would be a semi-open world to maybe a full-blown open world experience. And not saying that what made Dead Space so great, guys, was the narrow corridors and those like terrifying moments. And you can still have that in an open world setting. It's just going to be certain segments of the game are going to be played in a linear more so experience, and then there's going to be other parts that are more where you can explore more. And I think that's important to have in this game, because at the end of the day, guys, we want to explore the world more. We want to explore this universe of Dead Space, build upon the legacy, build upon the lore that the first 3 games kind of started in the Dead Space universe. And so I think, guys, all of these things are important to Dead Space and the continuation here. And I just think at the end of the day that Dead Space 4 deserves to come out at some point or another. I think this was such a staple in the horror genre in video games. I mean, when you think of all these other horror games that are coming out now, sure, some of them are great, but at the end of the day, Dead Space had something really special about it that made it very eerie, and it was very exciting, action-oriented, a lot of mystery as well. I mean, they were making comics out of this, and they all kinds of different things were based around this series. And so I just really think that it would be awesome to see it continue in one way, shape, or form. And I think that it will, guys, at some point or another in the foreseeable future. But it comes down to us as a community voicing our opinions and telling EA that we want this game to come back. But that being said, guys, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. What are the things that you guys want in Dead Space 4? You heard what some of the things that I would like. What are the things that you would like in this game? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Dead Space 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.